Good evening to everyone. I, Neodev Ghosh, Peace House Vice Captain,
And I, Vidhanarayan, Unity House Vice Captain.
welcome you all to the digital platform of BHIS Council Chronicles.
BHIS has always been innovative with respects to its extracurricular activities.
BHIS Chronicles, time and again, has been making lovely endeavors to open the arena of widespread knowledge through the vast spectrum of speakers from different fields.
BHIS Student Council takes the initiative with an enterprising and informative session with Miss Natasha Mitra.
A marketing expert and brand strategist with over 18 years of experience in building and delivering business and marketing strategies in the financial services across Europe and Asia. Over the years, she has developed a deep understanding of consumer behavior and expertise in delivering insight driven marketing and customer strategies to solve complex business problems. She is passionate about brand development and with a relentless customer focus has delivered unique brand experiences across the product marketing spectrum.
Miss Natasha's recent years have been away from the professional world and focused on being a mom to a teenager, repurposing her life to new learnings, goals, and digging deep to find my true purpose. Aesthetic, culinary enthusiast, budding musician, incubator of ideas, master of none and all.
We would like to welcome our guest speaker for the day, Ms. Natasha Mitra, who will throw light on lessons to my younger self.
Not wasting much time, let's ask our guest speaker to talk magniloquently on this topic, which will lead us to give approbation for her magnificent work.
Good afternoon, boys and girls. Many thanks for your invitation and for such kind words. I'm really excited to be with you guys today and to hold this session. But let's make this fun and interesting by keeping it interactive. This is not me talking to you, but it's for me to share a few ideas, some thought processes, some perspectives. So I'd like it to be engaging because this is really about you. It's not about myself. So I hope we can have an interacting session and you guys really enjoy attending it. But first of all, I think it's really cool that you are holding these sessions. It's a great way to get some amazing insights, to understand different perspectives, and to really understand different worlds of your speakers, and in the worlds that they inhabit, be it journalists, you've had people come from the art world, education, the tech sector. So hopefully this has been a great learning experience from you and you guys are benefiting from this. What do you think? Are you
Yes,
benefiting from these sessions?
Ma'am, actually, the children will not be allowed to unmute themselves. That power has been taken away from them.
Oh, is
So
it?
only I and
Okay.
Neo can unmute
Only
ourselves
later.
because we're the
ma'am,
co-host.
we
But
think
the
that,
two of you can tell me, what do you feel?
on behalf of the school, we think that these sessions are very informative for every children in the school.
Fabulous. And how many people do we have today?
Ma'am, 75.
Wow, that's really nice. I'm really happy so many of you have turned up on a Saturday afternoon. That's excellent. So look, whilst my background is in marketing and brand management, I'm not here to talk about all that kind of stuff, right? I would just like to use this occasion as a moment to share some of my milestones of my life and the decisions that I have taken during those phases of my life and how they've impacted who I am today. And when I look back, I think that the defining aspect of those moments were the decisions that I took. And those decisions I took on the basis of, who I was and the lens with which I viewed the world and what I thought about myself, what I thought about others. So it was really about the mindset that I had at those moments when I was taking those decisions and not necessarily the actions that I took, which helped me take those decisions and shape the person that I am. So let me give you an example. For instance, having a positive approach to life, right, is a mindset. It's not an action. So for instance, we find ourselves today in a pandemic situation, and we can make two choices. Either we could say, well, this is really terrible. I'm not able to go to school. I'm not able to go and play outside. I'm not able to sort of progress on my hobbies, on all the things that I want to do. On the other hand, if you have a positive attitude, you don't blame the situation, and you say, well, this actually is a wonderful opportunity for me, despite what's going on in the world, and actually embrace the situation. Let me actually dig deep and find out what is it that I really want to do. All those things that I have been putting away, here is a perfect opportunity for me to grow myself, to dig deep and find out what is it that I really want to learn. Are there hobbies that I want to pursue? Are there books that I want to read? Are there projects that I want to do? Are there things that I want to do with my mom and dad? These are all those opportunities that I can explore. So a positive mindset or an attitude to life helps you actually optimize a situation so much better than necessarily just a set of actions that you take. Actions happen because of the attitude that you have towards life. So positive attitude and mindset is really key. So look, as I said, I would want to talk to you about my milestones and what are my perspectives, and share some of those learnings with you. And hopefully, if they are relatable and you can get something out of them and they resonate, then it served its purpose. So one of the first things that I wanted to talk about is self-belief. It's really truly driven my world. What is self-belief? It's really knowing who you are and what you want to achieve and what you want to be, and then going after it with all your might. So I look back, there was a time in my life when I passed out of college, and I had, I had done a degree in commerce. And for me, I had a very clear path that I wanted to do my master's in business. But I made the first attempt when I was still in college. And I sort of applied across all, all MBA institutes, all sort of the Hall of Fame places, and expected to get selected. I did work, but I thought, well, with everybody else, I'm sure I'll be able to make it. That didn't happen. And pretty much across the board, I didn't make the cut. That was such a shock to my system. I couldn't believe that I hadn't made it. But I had the chance to either take stock, pull my socks up, or really wallow in my grief and in my sorrow, and feel terrible for myself. So I sort of retracted, took stock of the situation. I said, what is it that I need to do? I said, fine, I now need to go and attempt again. And I'm going to do that by actually joining an apprenticeship with my dad. So I went back to my home place. I started to work with my father. But I must tell you, it was such a shock to me that I hadn't made the cut and that I wasn't selected at any institute, that it was really hard for me to believe in myself again. But I knew that I had to really go to the core and the depth of who I was as an individual. And I had truckloads of belief. I mustered that courage again. I pulled myself up together and I reattempted. And pretty much across all those institutes that I had been not selected to in the first time, had been rejected, I made it. And what got me through was truly my belief in myself. And it has time and again proven to me that every time I have failed, I have gone back to my core and I have asked myself, do I believe I can do it? And I ask my conscience, and the answer to me is, yes, I can. I have been able to muster up the courage, and I have been able to try again, and I have been able to succeed. So truly, self-belief is something which is really key to your success. Guys, I can't see any of you. It'd be nice to sort of see some people.
I would request all the children to just switch on their videos. Switch on your videos, children. So, ma'am, how
Yeah, I
beautiful.
want to see some happy faces. Don't worry how you look. I just want you to be engaged and enjoying and, and hopefully asking some questions at the end. Much better. Some more will be nice. Yes. So self-belief, guys, is truly a gift to yourself. If you believe in yourself, you can move mountains. And it's, if you look back at people, who've had resounding success in what they've done, it's almost always a lot of hard work. But hard work is actually an action. But where it emanates from is things like self-belief, is things like conviction, is things like commitment to one's goal. So that's a mindset, right? But hard work actually is an action. It's what you do. But what drives that is things like self-belief, is things like, commitment to your goals, to your cause, to what you believe in. So that's truly a gift to yourself. And it's something that you need to go back and ask yourself, do I believe in myself? And if I do, then I'm going to do everything possible, go after it till I achieve those goals. Now, it's quite possible that sometimes it may not happen because we don't control our outcomes. We only control our actions. We can only control what we can control ourselves, which is what we do, but we don't know what's going to ultimately happen. So don't worry about that. You just focus on the journey. Trust yourself, trust your instincts, and go and do what you have to do. If you're too focused on the outcomes, then you kind of stop, actually embracing the journey and asking yourself, what is it that I really want to achieve? So focus on who you are, what are your gaps, trust yourself, muster up the courage to go and fix what you believe might be a few weaknesses in you, and go after your goals. That is what I would do. That is what I have done in the past. And I said to you, when I was trying to do this course for my master's in business, I resoundingly failed across the board. Like I said, I didn't make the cut in any university, none of the top colleges. And I really had to go back and ask myself, do I believe I can make it? Do I have it in me to make it? And the answer that I got was, yes, I can. And that was the only thing that kept me going. And like I said, when I applied again, I worked doubly hard. I wanted to prove to myself that I can do it. And that is how I and that changed the course of my career. Now, when I reflect back, I think, well, if I hadn't taken that path, I don't know where my life would have taken me. So self-belief has been actually a very key factor to where I am today. And even now, I am at the moment incubating a business idea. I don't know whether I'll make a success out of it, but I believe that I can, and that's what's driving me. So I'm studying all over again. I'm going into a completely new domain, which I don't understand. I know it's going to be a journey. It's going to take me a few years to get there, but I know instinctively inside me that I have it in me. If I put my mind to it, I have trust in my own abilities, I will be able to do it. So self-belief then has been a very key theme for me. And I wish I knew that right at the start of my life, but these are some of the lessons that, one of the lessons that I'd like to share with you. The other thing which I believe is really critical to who you are is, if you stay focused on excellence, choose excellence over everything. It doesn't matter what your goals are. It doesn't matter, how you need to do what you need to do. But it's important that when you do something, you do it to the best of your ability. In life, always, there is a choice that you have to make. Are you okay to just get by? Are you okay to just do the bare minimum? Are you just okay to pass? Are you just okay to just do things enough to be able to keep your head above water? But if you choose excellence, chances 9 out of 10 times you will achieve the goals that you want, because that will drive the set of things that you will do to the best of your ability. It's truly your armor to realize your true potential if you choose excellence as a way of life. And it's not a state of mind. It's not a static state. It's not as if you arrive at a state of excellence and then you just simply stay there, right? And then everything that you do is naturally excellent. Is every action that you take is naturally the best? No, it's a conscious decision every day. You have to make the choice every day for everything that you do. So for instance, if it's a project that you're working on, right? Planning it, making sure that you have thought through it, making sure you have gone and got all the information that you need, putting it together, and then executing it. So it could mean different things for different things that you do. In a chemistry project, it could, or if it's a chemistry exam, for instance, it could be about knowing all your equations, knowing all the data that you need to have. It's knowing how to solve problems. If it's a literature exam, English exam that you're writing, it would mean you know all the quotations. It means you know how to annotate your, the unseen passages. It means you know how to structure your answers. It means you know how to do characterization. It means different things. But it means, so there is no static play, but it's a state of mind which says, I'm going to do the best of my ability, what I need to do in a given situation, whatever the situation that presents itself. Again, these are not, you don't control outcomes. So if something doesn't work out, despite your best effort, don't blame the situation. Pull your socks together and tell yourself, I'm going to try harder. Excellence actually starts from when people get bogged down and when they break and they don't get what they need, they don't achieve what they want, and yet they keep carrying on because they know that if they do the right things and they do it to the best of their ability, that is when success comes. If you look at, for instance, at some of the inspirational people who you admire, the heroes of your life, be it a scientist, be it a cricketer, be it another sports person, or even people in your life who are your heroes, chances are that they have chosen excellence over everything. They probably have come from nowhere. Look at some of the world leaders. They aren't privileged people necessarily. It isn't that everything has been stacked up in their favor and they just came and they performed and the world clapped. Most often than not, they've not had the situation stacked in their favor. They've not had all the resources all the time that they've needed to excel, but they've chosen to always do their best. Excellence actually is your best friend because that's what you control. Do you agree with that?
Yes, ma'am.
So it really helps you be self-reliant because that is, like I said, is entirely in your control. So it's really important that we make that choice today. And whether it's small things or it's big things, whether it's work, whether it's being at home, even playing, even the things that you do every day, am I doing it to the best of my ability? Because it's only when you choose to do things with that excellence mindset can you actually truly realize your potential. So it's key that you make that choice today. Do I want to just do things by just getting by, or do I want to do things really, really well? In fact, I recall there was a time when I was probably your age, in 7th or 8th grade, as some of you might be here who are attending the session today. And I know that something inside me switched. I wasn't happy just being someone who came, who's mediocre in performance and who didn't really do well. And okay, I got good marks, but I knew I was kind of not anchored anywhere. Nothing was really inspiring me. And I didn't have any goals as a result of that. But something inside me switched. I wasn't happy in my state. I said, I have to do better than this. And that switch happened. And when that switch happened, it helped me perform better. And it just didn't affect my student life. It just affected everything I did. It just changed gradually the person that I became. So it was a journey. It wasn't as if I started to get all success. and everything just worked out the way I wanted. I still had failures, but it was a conscious decision that I had made every day that I'm going to do the best of what I can, the best of what I'm served, the best choice, the best options that I get. I'm going to do the best that I can. And in doing so, I was able to, steer my life towards where I wanted. I was studying in a small town. I was in a city called Patna. I was able to perform better. I was able to get out of there. I was able to come to to a really good school. And from there, I then did my, what you do call now 12th standard. I did my ISC. I again, worked really hard. I was very sure that I wasn't going to settle for the next best. I was going to do the best that I can. And that is how I was able to go ahead, move out of that place, go to a bigger place, to a better college, to a better institute, go into my B school, get out, come to Mumbai, follow my career and follow my dreams, because that is the state of play I chose to be. So again, it's something for you to reflect on. Are you happy to just be where you are, or do you want to do the best that you can? Because when you choose excellence, you're actually not choosing to compete with others. You're choosing to compete with yourself. You're going to tell yourself, I'm going to be better than what I was yesterday. I'm going to do this better than I did yesterday. I'm going to do this the best of my ability. And that choice, like I said, you make consciously every day. So again, something for you for as food for thought. I also feel if you stay curious, it's a wonderful state of mind. Curiosity, if you keep that alive in you, it's your best teacher. So what really is curiosity? It's the superpower within you, which allows you to unlock your mind, and it allows you to absorb new ideas. Has it happened to you that, you're sitting in a classroom, for instance, and it's maybe a topic that you are not so keen on, not so interested in, and, you are listening to it, and, the class teacher is talking, or another fellow student is sharing something with you. You are hearing, but you're not listening. You know what's going on in the classroom, but you're not necessarily absorbing. Nothing is really happening in your mind, because actually in some ways you've shut your mind up. But if you unlock your mind and you let it flourish and you let it absorb new ideas, it starts to open up your world of possibilities and of all kinds of things that you can do and opportunities. I recall when I was, I think it was 4 or 5 years into my career. So I began my career in advertising. I was working on some of the most exciting brands in those times. I was working with Pepsi. I was working with Hindustan Levers. I also worked with P&G in my Procter & Gamble in my initial years. And it was a very exciting space, because I was making ads. I was trying to understand what consumers were about, what they wanted, what made them tick, what made them buy products. So I was really enjoying the journey. But 4 years on, I felt, you know what, this is coming too easy for me. It's not exciting me, because what was initially very exciting was now everyday life for me. I was in an autopilot mode. I could go look at what I had to do and pretty much do it without putting my heart and soul into it. Somewhere I had stopped learning. And that was bothering me. I was like, is this how it's going to be for the rest of my career? Am I going to be like this all the time? Something was not making me happy. So I said, look, I have a choice. I can either carry on doing like this or be like this, or I can maybe do something different. So what really is my problem? How do I find a solution to how I feel today? It hadn't impacted my performance until then, but I knew that I had stopped learning. So when I dug deeper, I realized that actually I really enjoyed working on brands, but what I didn't enjoy was my inability or my limitation to be able to actually impact a brand, because I could only influence the advertising aspect of it, but nothing beyond. So I said, okay, I get that, which means I need to have a bigger play. I need to have a bigger role in the brands. And how do I do that? I said, well, as an advertising person, I wouldn't be able to do it. So that's the choice I made. I said, fine, I'm going to change my career. And having worked for 5, 6 years and having become an account supervisor, which is, I had done reasonably well for myself in advertising, I chose to get out of advertising and I moved to banking, and I became a product manager. Now you'll ask, well, surely advertising was more exciting than banking. Why would you choose banking over advertising? But believe you me, at that point in time, in the mid to late 90s, banking was, branding in banking and marketing in banking was still a very fledgling space. They were not, banks were not into really marketing, talking to consumers, understanding what they were about, and really being able to offer products that were geared to what the needs were. It was very much about looking at, okay, we have these products, we have a savings account, we have a current account, we have deposits, we have loans, and we need to get customers. But I think the industry was waking up to the fact that they needed to engage with consumers, they needed to talk to consumers in the language they understood, and truly understand what the needs were, and to offer the right kind of products and solutions. So I said, bingo, that's the space I want to be, because I can really create the biggest impact in a space where the marketing aspect of brands and creating brands and products isn't really mature. So I chose to be in banking, and that is how I moved to product management. And I had the most exciting time. I learned so much. I learned about banking, I learned about marketing, about brands, and about really truly the entire journey of how you think of a product, how you understand consumers, how do you understand their needs, how do you match the two, how do you create products and brands that actually resonate with consumers. And that gave me a real sense of fulfillment. And I'm so glad that I could make that switch. So keeping your curiosity alive is really key, because like I said, otherwise there is a real risk of stopping from learning. And who knows, you could stumble upon something really exciting just because you've kept your mind open. It could create new possibilities for you. It could allow you to change careers. It could allow you to do different things. It really helps to you to expand your horizons. And I can tell you from experience, the world that we live in, gone are the days that you could only have one career for the whole of your life. This is an age where, it's really an age of reinvention, of reinventing yourself, of finding, new ways to keep yourself on top of the game. And if you stop learning and you stop being curious and excited about what's going on in the world, then how do you come across these? Nothing will be served to you on a platter. But what you truly can do is to keep your minds open, keep your curiosity alive, right? Engage with the world and let your mind explore all that there is to offer. Because who knows, your next best idea could be the next big thing in the world. So keep that going. And like I said, I have myself benefited greatly from that. But that's not to say it's always been like that. Let me tell you, 7, 8 years into my banking career, I again got into the autopilot mode. Because when you're sort of in organizations, you do get bogged down by processes, by systems, by deadlines, and all the things that you have to do, colleagues, politics. There's so much to get on with that it's really easy, to let go of that one thing which is so key to you and to your own personal growth. And that happened with me as well. I had so many of these things to deal with. I was growing in my career. I had larger responsibility. I was responsible for a big team. And, somewhere I kind of stopped learning. I kind of switched off that button in me. And then gradually it sunk into me that I had again fallen in the same trap that I found myself, 8, 10 years ago. And this time around, I thought to myself, well, actually, changing career is not necessarily the answer. It's about finding something which is really enduring, which will keep my antennas open, which will allow me to constantly sort of, keep myself engaged with the world and learning. So here's a top tip. I started to read. And when I started to read, it really helped me unlock my mind. It expanded my horizons. I was reading about philosophy, I was reading about literature, I was reading about religion, spirituality, yoga, bestsellers, what have you. But just, I knew it was something that I could keep with me for the rest of my life. And that will help me kind of expand my horizons. And when I look back now, I didn't necessarily see the linkages then. But as I was reading, I became interested in a subject matter. And then I continued to read on it. And guess what? 10 years on, that's the one thing that's become my anchor today. So this idea I just mentioned to you some time back that I'm incubating a business idea, it stems from there. I would not have known that linkage back then, or even when I was your age. But who knows, like I said, these linkages are formed in our minds, and we never know when that really comes handy and that comes to be your savior. So, like I said, I'm now coupled, I'm powered by my self-belief, but really what's helped me is the fact that I read about something, I kept reading into it, I developed an interest into it, it became a passion for me. But it was a sort of slow passion. It was there. I was not really investing a lot of time on it. But life gave me an opportunity recently during the pandemic. And I sat back and I said, what's the thing that I can do? What will help me, do the next big thing for myself? Not for anybody else, first for myself. That will keep me excited and engaged. What is it that I can see myself doing for the next 10 to 15 years? And suddenly I found myself veering towards it. And then I sat down with a piece of paper and I said, let's look at it. Can I make this work? And some of those pieces started to fall into place. And that's how I'm developing that business idea right now. So yeah, watch that space. Like I said to you, the only tip that I can give you, which has been helpful in my life, is you could read. But, again, reflect for yourself. What is it that you can do to keep your curiosity alive, to keep the child in you curious constantly, which doesn't get bogged down by exams, by outcomes, by, your board exams, or, what you expected to do. I'm going to become an engineer, I'm going to be the next tech guy. Make sure that you're constantly learning. That aspect of you should always be alive and kicking, because that is your own personal growth. Just make sure that you do that. I really urge you guys to do that. When I look back at my life, the one thing that I think I haven't done well, and that's kind of something that I want to leave behind as a thought with you, is I used to be a master procrastinator. I used to procrastinate things till the last moment. And I used to get kicks out of it. I used to think, oh my God, you know what? I can really think on my feet. And I used to pat myself at the back and say, you know what? I'm so good that when I'm faced with a challenge, when I'm really cornered, I come up with the best solutions. So I started to feel that that's my strength. The fact that I have the ability to think on my feet, the fact that I can push into a corner, come up with some really smart solutions. But actually, if I unlayered myself, the problem was that I was a master procrastinator. I used to procrastinate everything till such time that I knew if I didn't, that thing would not get done, that action would not get done, that commitment that I had made would not be fulfilled. I would just keep pushing it. But let me tell you, that's still work in progress. I haven't completely overcome it. So it's something, again, like I said, all of us procrastinate. I'll be honest with you. I don't think any of you, if you were to open your videos and put up your hands, can any of you say, honestly, hand on heart, you have never procrastinated? Never procrastinated? Vedant?
No, ma'am,
Wow.
I do procrastinate.
Sorry?
I do procrastinate.
You do procrastinate, right? I think all of us procrastinate. It's just, I think it's a human thing to procrastinate. But I think what's important is to be conscious of it, to not make it a habit, to not make it your second skin. I think that's key. All of us like to procrastinate. Don't we all sort of say, well, I've got to run to school, but let me catch that extra 10 minutes sleep, right? Let me be a little lazy about it. Or if I have 3 days or 5 days to a deadline of, maybe submitting a project at school or doing a piece of homework, let me, I'll start tomorrow. It's okay. I'll be able to do it. I have enough time. It's fine. Doesn't matter. We all do that. But it's important to know when it is enough and no more. When it is, when it is that you have to really get serious. Because if you are habitually a procrastinator, then you can never realize your full potential. Because procrastination will always bog you down. It will almost always never give you enough time to plan, to think, to take a step back, to take a more considered approach to things. So it can be a really debilitating thing. So it's really, I know in my own life, because as I said to you at the start, that I have been a master procrastinator. I have missed out on some amazing opportunities in life because I procrastinated. I thought I'll do it. I can make it happen. So again, it's if you have a lot of self-belief, which I do, but you're a master procrastinator at your heart, then that can be a double-edged sword, because you believe that because you have so much trust in yourself and your abilities, you can do it in any instance. And actually, that's not the case. You have to be able to do things well. And in order to do things well, you have to do them timely. You have to plan them. That's the only way you can put your best foot forward. And you truly cannot realize your full potential because you don't know what could have been, you could have done better. Sometimes I find myself kicking and saying, you know what, I could have done that better if only I had more time. But actually, time is not my enemy. I was my own enemy. I didn't allocate it enough time. I didn't allocate it enough importance. So it's not always the time. In fact, it never is the time. It's you who decides to either take things in hand and make the best job of it or postpone it. So if there's one thing that I would like you to truly not do is procrastinate. It's like I said, there have been some hits and misses in my life. And when I look at those misses, quite often it's been my act of procrastination that's been at the core of the problem. But you have to reflect, and it's only through reflection that you learn. So in my case, it's definitely work in progress. But if anyone out there feels that what I'm telling you today resonates with you, and you find yourself habitually procrastinating, then make it a conscious decision to not. Because there is no habit that cannot be changed if you work at it. Right? You just have to be conscious of it. You have to know that you're doing it, and you have to make a commitment to yourself to fix it. And every time you find yourself, going in that direction of procrastination, you stop. Tell yourself, I won't let that happen. There is a lovely saying in Hindi, which I'm reminded of, which my grandmother used to tell me. And it's bizarre how, in life, as I reflect on what our grandparents told us, all of those truths mean so much to us today because they were all filled with wisdom. So the saying is, I'm not sure if any of you have come across, जो कल करे सो आज कर, जो आज करे सो अब. And there is the truth in it. There is complete truth in it. It's not to say that all that you wanted to do day after, or you're meant to do day after, you do it now. No. What that really is, at the core of it, the message is, do not push things out. Do not delay them. Do them in a timely way, because that's the only way to be. And that's the only way that you can realize your potential. So, that's something I wanted to leave you with. And lastly, but not, and perhaps most importantly, there is one key message I want to leave you with, which is about integrity. I want to ask some of you here, and if Neo and Vedant and Dr. Smith, if you're okay with perhaps letting students unmute just for a moment to tell me, what do they understand by integrity? I want to ask you guys, what does integrity mean to you? Does this word mean anything? What do you understand by it? Anybody? I'd like to hear a few voices.
Ma'am, actually, that's totally under Smita, ma'am. If she says yes, then we can let them unmute themselves.
Sure. While she's thinking about it, you tell me, Vedant, what do you understand by integrity?
Ma'am, integrity, according to me, means like respect, holding respect for yourself,
Self-respect.
self-respect. So, like, not only other people respecting you, but you yourself having some self-respect. That's what integrity means to me.
Okay. Neo?
Ma'am,
Yes, who's that?
ma'am, Krishna Agarwal.
Hi, Krishna. Tell me.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I understand, ma'am, that
What happened to Krishna?
Ma'am, he muted himself, I guess.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, Krishna, you're back. Good.
Ma'am, I understood by the word integrity that the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles.
Fabulous. Anybody else?
Ma'am, actually, students can write it in the chat, so it'll be easier. So we can speak.
Sure. You can write it on the chat, and
Yes, ma'am.
we can all look at it.
Anya Daruka has written, ma'am, I think integrity means morality and being honest.
Very good. Anybody else? Whatever, it doesn't have to be right. It's just what it means to you. If it's a word you've come across, if it's been used in some context in your life, or you read about it somewhere, maybe in the books that you're reading at school.
Sorry, Bazmi, we cannot unmute students. Please write whatever you have to say in the chat box.
Yes.
And Krishnan says that for him, it means quality to being honest and having strong moral principles.
Apurva Gupta has written, integrity means being united.
Bazmi Fatima has written it's honesty.
Look, all of these things are so true. I mean, I'm so glad that at least you're attempting to give your interpretation and your understanding of what honesty or integrity is. Yeah, it's definitely in so many ways it's about being honest. One way I understand integrity is it's about keeping your word, right? It's about being outside what you are inside, right? So when we keep our word, people trust us, and our integrity grows. When we break our commitment, when we break our word, when we break our promises, our integrity depletes. People lose trust in us. Yeah? So when we really have to learn to keep our word and to keep our promises. Every time we break our promise, we all have a moral compass inside that we can't see, but it's there, right? And the way we are wired as human beings, right? Every time we break our promise or break our word, even to ourselves, and certainly in respect to others, that moral compass within us spins. Because we are meant to be honest, but every time we are dishonest, that moral compass spins and we lose integrity. So it's definitely about keeping your promise. It's definitely about keeping your word. It is definitely about you. And we've got to do that. So I didn't think about these things, as I don't expect you to, sit back and think about these things necessarily deeply. But it's about recognizing whether you are seen as a person of integrity or not. That's truly something worth earning with respect to others. It cannot be put in money terms, but it's invaluable. I can tell you one instance in my own life, which was a real quandary for me. So back in 1995, when I got married, or when I was about to get married, I was obviously working, and I had a commitment on a project which I was going to complete a week before my marriage. And everything was all set for me. I will finish that project. And you know what? I will then take that leave, and then I'll go away and get married and all the rest of it. But something happened. There was a situation, and we had to bring forward my marriage day by 5 days. So everything, of course, went into a real tailspin, and we had to reorganize everything. We had to make those date changes, etc. Of course, it didn't happen the last moment, thankfully. It happened 3 or 4 months in advance, so there was enough time for us to do that. But what that meant was it directly clashed with my work commitment, because effectively then I was completing the project by literally a day before my marriage. So all hell broke loose, right? In my home. As you can imagine, my parents were like, how's it going to be? How do you expect to be an absentee, about to be married person, because you'll be working, and I think you should go and talk to your bosses and tell them that, you need to be relieved for 5 days in advance. But I didn't want to do that. Not only because a lot was riding on the project and I was responsible for it, but I believed, and I truly did, that even if I was not the person who was driving the project, even if I was just one spoke in the wheel, I didn't want to let down my team. People were counting on me. I had to be there. So it was a difficult situation where literally I was caught between, 2 impossible options. But I convinced my folks, my parents, and I said, it's fine. I'm going to do that. I'm going to complete the project. I'm going to make sure that, no one's let down, let alone my team. And I chose to complete my work. So everybody was, in the city where I was getting married, which was Mumbai. Everybody had turned up and they were rejoicing, and, all those, functions were being held, etc. I'd be there in the evenings, but I was working through the day. So I worked to the last day of my marriage. So tomorrow is my wedding, and I was working until today. It was a difficult situation then. But I knew it was making me happy. I knew I was doing the right thing. So what actually truly integrity does, it actually fills your own cup of joy. It makes you a happy person. It makes you realize your own self-worth. You rise in your own eyes because you know, heart of hearts, you've done the right thing. Because that is how your own moral compass is set as a default. And every time when you break your promise or you break your word, that compass starts spinning because that's not its natural state. So again, you know, it's wonderful that you are so young and you can shape your life and you can make these choices today. You can choose between someone who people would like to believe or somebody who's like, okay, he or she says they will do it, but I'm not quite sure whether they'll do it or not. People should look up to you and say, you know what, if Deansh, Vedant, who else is there, Radhika, Shubhra, Samriddhi, Oves, if they've given the word, it'll happen because we trust them. It's a big thing. It's invaluable. So these are some of the perspectives, guys, I wanted to share with you. And I hope that in some ways it resonates with you. So if it does resonate, it allows you to think and explore your own mind, explore your own self, dig deeper, then it served its purpose. There's this one thought I'd like you to leave you with, which is those who achieve greatness and those who achieve excellence in what they do, it's almost always not the domain knowledge which takes them there, but it's the attitude to life, it's the attitude to work, it's the cognitive skills, it's the mindsets which takes them there. And that's what life is about. It's a constant journey. You will not suddenly one day get up and know that you have all the right attitude and all the right mindsets, but you keep working at it. Keep working on that journey. Keep that self-exploration on. And if you do, who knows where it'll take you? It won't all be ups. There will be downs. But when there are downs, you know you have enough anchor within you. You have enough ammunition within you to take you through those down phases. And what is life? It is really that journey. It's exciting because it's not a one-way street. If it was a one-way street, trust me, all of you will be bored. If you only had success, there'll be nothing to motivate you and inspire you. What makes it exciting as a journey is because if there are ups, there are downs. And when there are downs is when you need your power, your self-power, which comes from the right attitude, right mindset. Hope that helped. Any questions? I'm very happy to take. I see there are a few in the chat itself.
Yes, ma'am. Ishan Sachin is asking a question. Ma'am, did you ever break your integrity?
Actually, yes, I have. There have been a few occasions in the past when my son was small, when I made promise to him. You know, I do remember a couple of instances when I think I had promised to take him somewhere and I couldn't. And I think I broke his heart then. He was perhaps too small to understand, but I knew that if I kept the same approach and I always prioritized my work, this would keep happening. So integrity is not just important with respect to work, it's important with respect to everything that you have, be it your work, be it your relationships, friendships, what you do at home, how you help others, everything. So I learned an important lesson through that I had not kept my word for my son, and therefore I had broken my integrity. So yes, I did. And I realized that I had.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, Ishan also has a question
Mhm.
that does reading increase interest?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Reading certainly develops interest and increase interest, as you say. But if you read a variety of things, it then helps you identify what is it that you're interested in. So if you read one genre of books or one type of books, then you only get exposed to that one aspect. But if you are open to, you, I'm sure you have wonderful libraries at, in your school, perhaps in the area that you live in. I know you can't access them at the moment. I know there are those limitations, but there are some wonderful online libraries. If you have a Kindle, you can download books. You can, and it's really actually quite economical to read books on Kindle or read them even electronically. You don't have to have a Kindle even if you have a laptop or a desktop at home, you can find those apps where you can download. But if you read a variety of things, that's when you know something interests you more and you read more of it. And who knows when that interest becomes a passion and a deep interest, something that really resonates with you. So yes, it does help develop interest. Does it answer the question?
Ishan, if you have any,
Yes,
okay, yes, ma'am, it answers.
yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Ma'am, Krishnansh has a question. How were you feeling when you broke the promise?
Oh, terrible. But I can tell you, sometimes when you feel terrible, it's a peripheral feeling. It's at the surface, right? But you have to spend time with yourself to understand how bad is that feeling and are you able to live with it or not. And because I did break that promise a couple of times, I knew this wasn't the way it was going to be. I knew I wasn't happy being that way. I knew I had to bring that work-life balance. I had to, most importantly, learn to say no. One very important aspect, actually, in fact, by asking that question, you've kind of reminded me of something really key that I must share with you, which is ability to say no. We all know we don't have limitless resources and limitless time, right? Because if you had, then you could do everything of everything, right? And there'll be no question of breaking promises, breaking your word. But we live in a world, and that's our reality. We have limited time, we have limited resources, and we have limited abilities, right? In terms of how much we can actually also deliver. So your ability to say no, knowing fully well that you can't do it, is really key. We just don't, for a lot of us, we don't know how to say no. We feel embarrassed, we feel defensive, we don't like to upset people. But I'd rather that we say no when we know we can't do it than say yes and break your promise. So, an important aspect or ingredient for high integrity is your ability to say no. But when you say yes, you will do everything to keep your commitment, to keep your word, because that's the only way when your cup of joy will truly fill.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, there's a question by Divyansh Dubey. Ma'am, does reading helps you in gaining interest in different things?
Indifferent?
In different things.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't know what your interests are, but, if it is, you know, I don't know, computers, or if it is, even, things like gaming or particular sports, whatever that you like to read about, or whatever is your interest today, read more and it will kindle your interest. But I would urge you to read wide initially, especially the younger ones amongst the audience, because I think for some of you who are into already a reading habit, you may know what you like and what you don't like. and therefore you read more of what you like. But the young, the ones who are at the early stages of forming reading habit, I would truly urge you to read wide, read on different subjects, read different kinds of books, read different kinds of authors, different periods of literature. It really helps to expand your mind. It really truly helps you to unravel what you like, what you truly enjoy, what is a developing deep interest in you. And once you find some of those things that you like to truly engage on, read more of that.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, there's a question from Krishna Agarwal. Ma'am, has reading helped you in your career?
It has. It certainly did in my early stages of my career, when I used to read a lot about advertising and about brands. But certainly it's helping me now. It's like I said to you some time back, I had started to read a lot about this particular area, which is in the space of Ayurveda and yoga. And I used to read because it was, I was curious and I wanted to know, what is this world about? What is this ancient science of our country? Why is it that people who swear by Ayurveda, have, why they sort of talk so passionately about it? Why is it so special? And it's really when I started to read, I understood, what it was about, and that really kindled my interest. But I didn't start to read necessarily with the purpose. The idea was not, oh, how am I going to monetize this idea? No, I just read because I was initially had a, sort of a cursory interest, which as I read more, I became more and more interested in it. And it's only years later now that when I sat back and reflected, so sometime in April and May, as to what is this thing that I can do now, because I am sort of doing, I'm advising companies here. I'm doing small projects on brands and developing brands, etc. All that's fine. I'm sort of I'm a consultant, but I can keep doing it. But I want to do something which will really excite me. And when I sat back and I thought about it, trust me, the first thing that came to my mind was this subject. So it clearly linked with what I want to do next. But I didn't start to read on it because I wanted to monetize it, or, I wanted to make something out of it, or it was a business idea. I just read it. But it's clearly come handy. It's really come to help me. And that I'm, eternally grateful for. So it can help you in ways that you can't see today, but don't worry about it. Read for the joy of it, truly.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, Anya has a question
Yeah.
that if we procrastinate once, so can we overcome afterwards if we realize and understand and also feel guilty?
Yes, of course you can, because like I said, all of us procrastinate. It's you don't have to sort of blame yourself for it, or punish yourself for it. It's just something that happens to all of us. But the fact that you realize, the fact that you self-reflect, the fact that you know that you have felt bad about it, or terrible or guilty about it, it itself a huge shift. It means that's not how you naturally want to be, right? You want to do things on time. You don't want to delay things. That actually, because for someone who's habitually a procrastinator, they're not even conscious of it. It just, like I said, second skin, it just comes naturally. So they keep doing what they're doing without thinking necessarily at times about it. Or they are so sometimes incapacitated by habit that even though they know that they're procrastinating, they continue to do it. But if you're aware, and self-awareness is a really, really important thing. If you're aware that you are procrastinating, of course you can fix it. And it starts with self-realization. And telling yourself that, next time when it's likely to happen, I'll stop myself. I'll take a step back and reflect on my action, and I will, fix it the next time. And there are many tools to help you from not procrastinating. I won't get into that, but even simple things like these are my tasks for today, right? When I sit down in the evening after having a snack, and I'm sitting down to do my homework. Of course, these days you're not coming back from school and stuff like that, but in a normal day, or even now after you had a sort of studies over Zoom and whatever else that you're using as your medium of education, when you sit back and do your work, do you just plunge into it, or do you plan? So, simple tips like taking a notebook, making, a set of tasks that you want to do, putting some deadlines against it, putting a priority, what's important, what's not, what needs to be done today, what's going to take longer to do, and therefore I must start today, right? Those sort of tools will help. But yes, feel guilty, but move on. More importantly, if you're self-aware, fix it.
Thank you, ma'am. If anybody has any questions, please mention them in the chat box.
Ma'am, seeing no questions, should we end the session?
Oh, absolutely, guys. I hope, like I said, I hope this has been useful. I hope that you can perhaps spend a little time with yourself, right? And reflect on yourself and to kind of understand what are your strengths today? What is it we can do better? What would we like to know for, right? What's important for you? How do you bring that right mindset for success? Because remember, life is not about destination. It's truly a journey. And you have to constantly keep working at it and, make it fulfilling for yourself. That really will drive your own personal effectiveness and your happiness quotient. If you, spend some time with yourself and ask yourself those questions. So if this talk helps you ignite that conversation within you, then I'll be very happy and very glad. And I wish you luck, wish you all the best. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And I'm sure you guys are looking forward to a better year ahead of us. Wish you luck. Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Thanks very
ma'am.
much.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, this session was a revelation for all of us. Every children, I'm sure they must have liked to know more about the topic. They might have learned a lot from this session.
Well, that's really sweet. I hope it is the case. Like I said, if it helps you to on your journey in any shape or form, not just as a student, but as human beings, especially for the older lot of you, right? Because we all heart of hearts know what we are good at and where we know we have a journey of improvement, right, to take. So I am still, like I said, trying to fix my procrastination habits. And so, it just goes on, it carries on. And if it helps you, I'm really pleased. And I'm sure I've hopefully been able to, make a difference to you guys.
Thank you, ma'am, for that speech. Our heartfelt gratitude to our founder and CEO, Mrs. Preeti Agarwal, for initiating such talks which kindles us in the curiosity and deepens our knowledge.
We convey our gratitude to our speaker, Ms. Natasha Mitra, for the dynamic talk.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of this BHIS Council Chronicles.
We will meet again tomorrow on 6th December 2020 at the same time with another guest speaker, Mr. Gaurav Yadav. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye for now.